Hey, what's up guys, it's Nick2, and today I'm going to be showing you guys the long-awaited Devastator Anomaly Power build. This is by far the best AP build that you can make for Devastator. As you can see from the gameplay, this build does an absolute ton of damage. It's a lot of fun to play with, and I'm really excited that I was able to get all of the perfect pieces to this build because I really wanted to make a video to show you guys that Devastator actually can do some pretty crazy things once you have the right gear. So yeah, there's a couple different versions of this build, but honestly, in my opinion, this one is by far and away the best one. And like I said, I have pretty much perfect gear with this build. You can set up a kind of budget version of this build without all the legendaries, but the perfect setup does require a good bit of legendaries. Of course, I'll be going over everything in the video. And if you're interested in seeing some gameplay to see how the build performs, there will be gameplay at the end. But this build easily can gold every single map CT15 and fairly quickly as well. Not as quick as like Anomaly Pyromancer, of course, but it's still pretty fast considering, you know, you're a Devastator player. But yeah, let's just get right into it. Also, one more thing. On Friday the 23rd, I'm going to be doing free carries over on Twitch during a subathon event. So if you guys are interested in some free carries, feel free to check that out. And I would love to see more of you guys around. Maybe stop by, drop a little Twitch Prime for me if you like the video. And it also turns out that I see you, 86% of you guys aren't subscribed. So if you like the content, you know, drop a sub. All right, shameless plugs out of the way. Let's get into the meat. All right, so getting into the skills. Earthquake. Earthquake is the big boy. Earthquake is the juice. This is what does pretty much all of your damage and is absolutely mandatory with this build. Obviously, the mods, you know, are going to tell the whole story, so we'll talk about how you play the build, etc., and what is very good about it once we get into the mods. But Earthquake is the main cornerstone of the build, I guess you could say. And then we're going to be playing Gravity Leap and Golem. Golem is literally just there just because you don't really have to play Golem, but it's there for some protection stuff. We'll talk about it in a minute. But I use Gravity Leap specifically for certain mods that basically just allow you to do way more single target damage. A lot of you guys are going to be like, oh, why aren't you playing Impale? The reason that I'm not playing Impale is because I think the single target is a little bit worse on Impale, and overall your clear speeds are going to be a bit faster with Gravity Leap. I also, however, don't have the Seismic Helmet, therefore I can't really make a perfect Impale build. I'll probably be making a video on that once I get it. However, I am certain that this is the best Anomaly Power setup. Regardless, though, that is the skills that we are going to be using. You could replace Golem with Reflect Bullets if you wanted. The main reason I'm using Golem is because the survivability on it is pretty good, giving you 65% DR, because we don't want to waste a mod slot on Emergency Stance, because you really need all of your mod slots available for this build to actually do a lot of damage. Mainly, we're just using Golem because it gives us the damage reduction, and also we're going to be using a node in our skill tree that gives us some extra AP whenever we use it. However, you could also use Reflect Bullets instead. I just don't use it. The benefit of Reflect Bullets is that it's a lower cooldown, so you could get more uptime on the extra Anomaly Power in your skill tree. I don't use this though because it bugs out a lot of your animations, or like it takes an animation to pop it up and then put it down, which kind of slows down gameplay, so I don't really like using it. For that reason, I use Golem. But you don't have to use this. You could literally swap out any other. If there's another skill you like, you could feel free to use something else. Maybe like Endless Mass for better AoE clear or something. However, this is just what I'm playing with and I find to be the best setup. In terms of the skill tree, there's actually a good bit of variation with this skill tree in terms of how you could set it up. Ultimately, this is what I found to be the best variation in terms of getting not only a lot of survivability, but a lot of damage. Mainly, the biggest variation is whether or not you want to go into Bloodbath and Blood Donation to get extra healing, or if you want to get Strong Arm of the Law to double your class melee skill damage, or if you just want to go full into bleed duration stuff. We completely ignore the bleed stuff because with the perfect build, you just kill things really fast, and your bleed is going to do very little damage. The only reason you're applying bleed is just so that you can take advantage of the mods that make you do extra damage to enemies that are bled. And that is a whole nother damage modifier that we're able to tap into, so we can just pump the damage up. We don't really care about how much damage bleed does itself, because it does really low damage because it's damage over time, right? So bleed isn't really all that effective. Mainly we just care about scaling our abilities up, but also we want to have good survivability, which we can very easily get in this tree by going up here, where we have Stone Circle and max Colossus max health, but we get Heirloom Armor, where when an enemy dies in close range, you get 20% of their armor. 20% of an enemy's armor is a lot of armor, and you definitely feel this. This helps you an absolute ton. Another thing that a lot of people don't play is Paladin. I think this is really good for damage if you play with this correctly, and you also play with Unending Watch. You can have very high uptime on extra 45% anomaly power, Doesn't seem like a lot, but honestly, I think that's worth it because you're playing with Golem anyways. I don't think anything else here is worth that 1 point. I think you may as well just go into this point and then also get some cooldown reduction just so that you can have the extra damage up. The only other thing you would go into is like getting skill leech or getting extra healing with bleed, but I don't think that's worth it. You have enough healing with the fact that you're using stone circle, so every time you kill somebody it's going to heal you, and then enemies, often you'll kill ads that are far away, but now that you have stone circle it's actually going to heal you a lot. And you also get extra armor via heirloom armor, which is going to give you so much armor, and you also get 40% armor based on your anomaly power. Pair that with paladin, you're getting a lot of survivability. Just take a screenshot of this, use it. That's pretty much all the variations that there is. Strongman of the Law I don't think is worth because melee does like 0 damage anyways. Getting 15% resistance piercing with your melee could be worth it. However, you'd have to like ditch paladin or something like that, or you'd have to ditch pure anomaly in order to do that. Whereas pure anomaly is always there, and this one is conditional, and it also would require you to go into unending watch. Okay, that's it for the skill tree. I imagine 90% of you just took a picture of it and you're going to just plop it in there, but there is some context that's helpful, whereas with other classes, you don't really care about that. Okay, now let's just talk about the gear and the weapons and stuff. So the main part of the build is that you're going to be using a 3-piece Seismic Commander, which is going to increase the damage towards enemies with a bleed on them by 50%. And then you also get some tier 3 mods, Painted Blood and also Bloody Boost, so 15% and another 25%. So that's 40% overall extra damage you're getting to enemies with bleed, plus your 3-piece, so that's 90%. So you're getting a whole nother modifier to where you can just do a whole bunch of damage to enemies with bleed on them. And then the way that we're going to do damage is mainly with Earthquake. So let's just talk about all the skills. We'll just go piece by piece and I'll talk about which ones are mandatory. Pretty much all of them are mandatory, but basically, actually let's just get into the mods and I'll talk about how you want to play with the build after. But basically you just want to make your Earthquake do a lot of damage. That's the main gist of the build, is just applying a bunch of debuffs and then making your Earthquake do a lot of damage. So on every single piece of gear, ideally you want anomaly power, cooldown reduction, and then status power. Getting status power doesn't really matter that much. It'll make your bleed do like a tiny bit extra damage. It does a little bit, but it really doesn't matter all that much. Mainly what you care about is getting AP and cooldown reduction. In a perfect world, I would run the Seismic Commander helmet with this because that actually comes with anomaly power. It, however, doesn't have cooldown reduction, but neither do my boots, so I'd rather just use the Seismic Commander helmet because that actually has AP on it. Losing a little bit of base AP doesn't really matter all that much, though. I just unfortunately have literally never gotten that to drop for me. So yeah, we're running with this purple helmet, but literally the only difference is I'm losing, 14,000 AP, not that big of a deal. So yeah, in terms of the mods, you want Earthquake inflicts bleed on enemies damaged by the skill. I believe this comes default on the Seismic Commander helmet as well, so you would just replace the top mod with that. And then you use extra Quake so that you can spam your Earthquake more often. The main point of this build is to be able to knock out an Earthquake that do a whole bunch of damage. So those mods are mandatory, and we get Earthquake Inflict Bleed as our main source of applying bleed so that we can tap into that extra modifier on every enemy that we damage. For the next piece, we're using the Seismic Commander armor. This is absolutely mandatory, and then we are using it with Despair, which comes on, I believe, the Martial Boots, where every time you gravity leap, enemies damaged by it will receive 1.5 times more anomaly damage for 5 seconds. You can double gravity leap to where this goes up to 3 times, and then you can just hit enemies with a massive amount of burst damage, specifically with your weapon mods as well as Earthquake. Talk about with the weapon mods in a second. The chest piece is also just a really good roll. Anomaly power, status power, and cooldown reduction. That's insanely good, and the chest is mandatory. It also comes with Earth's Legacy, which increases the skill range of Earthquake, which on paper might not seem that good, but actually once you play with it, you realize it's super insane because a lot of the time you're trying to hit like an elite, right? But then there's like mobs that are super far away. While you can position yourself sometimes to where you can hit an elite, and then it'll go past the elite and actually kill a lot of ads. And that's pretty much your main issue with this build, is that your ad clear is a little bit bad because you don't have any like large AoE like firepower or like Pyromancer does, for example. But you do have pretty good single target. So being able to get extra range on our Earthquake helps us out with our AoE clear because you can just cover more ground and get more ads with each Earthquake. So that's absolutely mandatory. Definitely get the chest piece if you're trying to run this build. However, you could go without it because it doesn't have a T3 mod on it. So you could, for example, use the gloves or helmet instead. But definitely want to get that set up because cooldown reduction is incredibly important with this build because ultimately all of our clear speed is based on how many earthquakes we can spam out, really. So getting extra cooldown reduction for our earthquakes is a massive, massive bonus. Now we have the pants. Pants, 100% mandatory. Comes with AP status power cooldown reduction, perfect, but it comes with Tainted Blood, which is probably the best T3 mod that you have here, other than maybe being able to use Earthquake again or whatever. Tainted Blood gives you 25% extra damage to enemies with bleed on them, which is half the value of your 3-piece set. Incredible amount of extra damage that we get there, but it rolls with this by default, so the legs are just perfect pretty much. And then we also have double jump, where we can use Gravity Leap twice. Pair that with Despair, you're able to just do a whole bunch of single target burst damage, right? That's why we use that. Double jump you could decide to forgo if you wanted to get some more like AoE centric things. I don't even know what you would pick actually for that. Maybe like power simulation for more anomaly power or something. I don't know. But we play with that just so that we can get elites down really quickly. You could also replace this with Captain Hunter if you don't have the double jump mod. However, I think that this is just a lot better than Captain Hunter and is going to scale a lot better. Also, you get a lot of mobility via having 2 leaps. If you're trying to kill ads, you can go from one ad to a next without having to, you know, double spam them if you wanted. The double jump leap, I believe, comes from the Marshal's boots. You can also get that from the Hunt bug if you're aware of that, so feel free to check that out. And then for our gloves here, we have AP cooldown reduction again, no status power, whatever, not a big deal. And then I have Ground Crush and Bloody Boost. Ground Crush just increases earthquake damage, so mandatory mod there. Then we have Bloody Boost, boosts our damage against enemies with bleed. This is T2 version, comes with a 15% extra damage. You could just swap this if you wanted, if you really didn't want to run Bloody Boost. This is one that you could swap for Captain Hunter. However, I think that this is worth it because it works on both ads and on elites. But if you wanted more boss damage, if you feel like that's a problem for you, you could put on Captain Hunter, or you could even go Power Simulation for more base anomaly power. And then we have on our boots here, this is the reason why running the boots is pretty good, is because it comes with Second Quake. Otherwise, you'd have to get a very specific rolled item to be able to like run the helmet and stuff. But the boots already by default come with Second Quake on them. Unfortunately, they have max health status power. You know, we don't really want that, but that's okay. Ideally, we would have, you know, the helmet on, and then we would be able to put some purple boots on. Not that big of a deal though, it doesn't really matter. So we have Second Quake so that we can use Earthquake a third time, another absolutely mandatory mod for this build. If you don't have this, you're probably going to have a bad time, because Earthquake is the main source of damage with this build. And then I'm actually using Untamed Power. You might think Untamed Power is a little bit weird. Ends up doing like 2nd or 3rd damage, or about like 4th damage, depends on the map. The thing is though, with this build is that a lot of your issue is AoE clear, right? You're trying to kill like a certain elite, but then there's a lot of mobs around that are kind of gonna, you know, be pesky and stay alive, and then you run out of Earthquake charges and you don't really have a good way of dealing with them. Untamed Power is kind of going to take care of those guys while you're fighting the elites, and this is the main reason that I run it. The second I took it off, I noticed that a lot of the ads weren't getting taken care of. So Untamed Power, I think, is one of the mandatory mods with this. That's just how I feel personally. But the other mods that I mentioned, as you know, swaps, you could do that if you don't have Untamed Power. But yeah, ultimately, this is what I'd recommend. It would just be a very minor upgrade if I were to be able to get the helmet, because it's just some more base AP. I don't really need the damage all that much. The main thing that would help this character overall is just getting more AoE. And we kind of take care of that with our weapon mods. However, it is going to be a bit slower than other characters. But our weapon mods are actually incredibly important with this build, because it is one of the reasons that we're able to take care of elites so well, is mainly because of Moaning Winds. Moaning Winds is going to scale off of your anomaly power damage. Thanks, Dad Rage, for telling me that. So every time you double gravity leap Despair on an elite, they're going to take 3 times the damage from Moaning Winds. Pair that with Fortress and the enemy taking 90% extra damage from bleed, your Moaning Winds can actually hit up to about 5 million, and it does just an absolute insane amount of damage and is incredibly powerful for this build. We pair that with Fortress to make our Moaning Winds scale even higher. I was using a double reload thing here. I was using the Radiation Splash from Guillotine before. I took it off, put Fortress on, and it was way better because Moaning Winds is going to scale off of Fortress, so that's very good. And that's why I'm using Death Shield in the top slot as well, is because of Fortress. The firepower doesn't matter. This is just a flex because I happen to have a 95 and a 96k roll. Firepower amount doesn't matter. Mainly you just care about getting Fortress because it's going to make your Earthquake, etc. do 43% more damage. That's really what you care about. And then I put Shadow Comet on here. What I like to do is I like to use this main gun, and I just run around with this one. I shoot enemies with it, you know, whenever there's like a pesky ad that's, you know, in Narnia or whatever. Shoot a comet at him real quick, he falls down. Shoot a comet at a bird in the sky. It's really nice. And then whenever I want to do boss damage or there's a bunch of ads around, I just swap to this. I already have it unloaded, so it instantly reloads, and then it's just going to do a whole bunch of damage to everything. So generally speaking, how you want to play this build is you pretty much just pop your golem, double leap onto an elite, position yourself to where the earthquake is going to go in a line to where it hits multiple ads. Just spam your earthquakes out, and then I shadow comet, swap weapons, hit him with the moaning winds, swap back, melee to proc and untamed power, and then hopefully by then, in like a second or two, my leaps are going to be back up. I smash my leaps, and then I smash into the earthquakes. If the guy's not dead by then, something's wrong. He definitely should be, and that's pretty much how you play the build. You can also decide to put Moaning Winds on like a pistol or something if you want some more AoE clear, or you could even put Shadow Comet on here. If you wanted, you could go double Moaning Winds. Personally, I don't like how that feels, and I like the range and the overall like versatility that Shadow Comet has. However, if you wanted to, you could just put Moaning Winds on this. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the build. Here's some gameplay. Hopefully that was pretty insightful so you guys know what to do. You guys know what pieces you could go for. You could very easily not use the chest piece here, and you can actually buy the... I don't know if I have them here. You can buy the Seismic Commander gloves from the vendor. Has max health on it, but yeah, I mean, you can at least get the build going. I would say minimum try to get the legs and the boots, but you could do any of the 3 pieces and get the build set up until you get the other pieces. You can very easily do certain CT15's gold with only 3 pieces of it, but you'll be able to do like Boomtown gold, etc. once you have the full 3-piece set with the right pieces. Also, do I even want the other helmet? This helmet looks sick, dude. Alright, thank you guys for watching, and enjoy the gameplay. Peace. Almost forgot, be careful with Impale if you're not solo. Did a carry earlier and it stopped enemies spawning. Alright. How do you suggest leveling as a Devastator? Honestly, I don't know. I use firepower to like CT12 or whatever, and then I got carried the rest of the way. Some people said they used AP build. I would honestly play a different character until you get the right like weapon mods, and then you can play AP build and have the weapon mod set up, kind of carry you like Seismic. 2.2 milli. Big boy hits. Where is this guy going, dude? Oh my god, what a waste of time. Refuse to use any Decia below 90A, then I mean you're never gonna feel good then, man. How hard does Moaning hit for? 2.2 milli! That's what we like to see. That's what we love to see. Hit him again with it? Oh. What are you doing? Not available, I suppose. But you can hit Moaning hit, or you can make Moaning hit for way harder if you use you have AP buff, pretty sure. Also, if you scale your gravity elite more, you can make it hit harder. You like purposely wait. We're gonna wait for our earthquake, and then we're gonna jump in there. Jump in there for the big clip. Alright, we're good. Hit him with it. The big boy AoE, and then the Moaning Winds to finish him off. Let's go, dude. This guy didn't want to die, but hey, that's okay. I guess he didn't get hit by any earthquakes, probably. Or maybe not any gravity damage. What the? It's way faster than it was last time, I'm pretty sure, so I'm feeling decent about this. This is definitely an improvement. Increased loot pool for monster hunts. Doesn't matter what CT you complete it on. I don't think that increases the loot pool. I think it's like, I don't know, there's a lot of inconsistency with the hunts and the loot is the conclusion that I've come to. I could be making it up, but... I don't think I hit the main captain with my thing. It's a little unfortunate, but hey. I'm gonna need you to relax, man. I'm gonna need you to chill out. My Moaning Winds got body blocked. What? It's fine, we hit him here. What the heck? He body blocked it twice, dude. My man's just cheating. We're playing against a cheater, boys. And with the look at all the shadow comments, dude. Look at the carnage. Oh. Look at the carnage, boys. Let's go, boys. Get him out of here, dude. Get him out of here. What's a secondary mod that I have on the Death Shield? Shadow Comet. How you doing? Worked? I think multiple of these guys did not get hit by the gravity leap, but that's okay. Try to cleave our Shadow Comet here. Leave the grav leap. Earthquake them up. And they're all dead. Before the door opens. Let's go. I'm doing better now that we got the build setup worked. Assuming that's better than running double moaning. I think so. I think running Comet is better than double moaning. I don't know. Double moaning might help with your AoE a lot though, because Devastator does suffer with AoE. But double moaning might be worth it. I just use Shadow Comet because that's like what I'm used to with playing Pyro, and it still works just fine here. Double moaning is 100% worth, you think? Well, one moaning seems to do just fine. The only benefit I think of running the second one is for like ad clear. But Shadow Comet is still really good for that anyway. Double moaning is a little annoying though. But hey, you know, use whatever. I don't think it's too big of a deal. Yeah, moaning is the thing when you reload it, just as a whole bunch of damn. Love when we can't leap right off the rip there. Really good feature. We already have enough damage to basically like one phase a boss, right? And Shadow Comet does do good damage. Helps like clear ads too sometimes, so I don't know. I've never seen a damage number pop up at like the bottom of my screen like that. That was weird. A Shadow Comet whiffing. I do have moaning on the pistol. I could use that more. Leave. You farm the hunts for a week and still didn't get the pieces you need? Exclamation mark no, and then I'll tell you all the available things in the loot pool. Why am I doing that? I'm not a pyromancer. I don't need to earthquake those guys. Shadow Comet Cleave. .2 milli with the Moaning Winds. Pretty good. I think no matter what you do, clears are going to be like kind of slow relative to other classes, but hey, still get it done. Yeah, Yan. Trashy Animoy matching my trashy gear. What can you do? Alright, we'll check the loot. So yeah, Bill does a ton of damage and you're completely invincible, but your AoE clear suffers relative to the other classes, but it's still like more than solid enough. I think it's also good playing with a group. But yeah, you can't just... I've gotten no legendaries for like 5 runs. But yeah, you can destroy stuff with it. Let's go to camp and we'll check the damage breakdown. So Earthquake is pretty much your top damage, and then Moaning Winds and Shadow Comet do about the same, and then Untamed Power. You could ditch Untamed Power for Captain Hunter if you wanted, but I don't think it's worth it, because Untamed just helps you out with a lot of AoE damage, and that's like your main problem you have in this character. So yep, that's pretty much it.